This morning, I want to introduce our first presenter, Bob Dailey. He's the Water Conservation Manager for Woodlands Water Agency. He's going to help us understand the way to use our new smart meters. Now, I know there might be a few of you who haven't yet had your smart meters installed. So I think this will help prepare you for when you get them. But for the rest of us who have already gotten our meters, oh my gosh, this is so important for us to be able to use them to the best that we can. So join me in welcoming Bob Dailey this morning. Bob, what do you have to tell us? You have to unmute, Bob.
There we go.
There
Can
we
you hear me
go.
now?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Go ahead.
go ahead. The uh, the new smart meter system, we're almost finished the installation of all of the meters. We're currently in Sterling Ridge, and then we're going to Grogan's Mill, and that will be the final installation. Now, let me clarify this. Once the installation is completed, we will put up the receivers and the transmitters so that you will be able to receive all the information that your meter is actually putting out. And we will be receiving that information plus a lot more at our office, so we can determine things like leaks and overuse and stuff like that. So we can tell you, hey, you may have a leak. There may be a problem with this, and that will all go through your system. Now, what we're doing is we're coupling the smart meter system with an informational link to show so that you'll be able to access all that information, and you can access it online. You'll be able to access it online. Plus, you'll be able to send us messages about problems you may be having, like turning off your water if you need to, or perhaps a leak on the street or something like that. You can always email us and tell us what's going on, and we will activate it at once. You know, we had a problem with the during the freeze with a lot of people not being able to reach us by phone. In fact, I had to stay at home and field calls from my number, and they promulgated it everywhere. So I think my personal number is out there to about 1 million people. So um, this time we're going to have our new program on, and that will be a way that you can actually communicate with us, and we can communicate with you, even if there's a power outage or at least phone outage. If our phone goes out, you could still reach us. And so I'm going to go ahead and try to explain everything that's on this new smart meter system, plus how you can log on to the AMI system, the water smart system, so that you can access all your information. So I'm not James Stinson, as you can see. He's a lot taller than I am, and just a little broader. But I wanted you to know that Jim Stinson is actually the general manager of the Woodlands Water Agency, and he is not available today. So I'm making this presentation for him. And I've done this to almost all the village associations. I see Mary Ann's on. I just made a presentation to them a couple of months ago. So let's go on with this, and we'll see where we go. Okay. This is kind of a turnkey project information, and you could take a look at this. And I think, Terry, you're going to have a PDF of this, right? And you'll be able to send it out to people who want it.
Oh, we are recording this presentation, Bob, and
Great.
we'll send it to everyone who is registered. Yes.
And they can access it on your website.
Yes, it'll be posted on our YouTube channel.
So I'm going to skip all this information here, financial information. You'll be able to get that later. And then we're going to just go on certain other information. We're putting in about 34,000 meters. And as I say, we've completed most of it in the Woodlands. We've got a few areas left, and we're getting ready to do that. We're actually in Sterling Ridge now, and we probably expect to be completely finished by the end of June. So it's only what, a month and a half away. So we should be fine with that. And the contractor is Amoresco, and I'm sure you've seen them. Now, what our meters are going to do is going to give you detailed usage data, increased accuracy, no moving parts in the meter, and a high resolution screen that you can actually access on your meter itself, but you'll also be able to access it on another level. There's no moving parts on the meter, and there's no way to wear down or impair accuracy. You may see an increase in your measured usage due to our improved accuracy. And also, door hangers are going to be placed in any neighborhoods that haven't been installed yet. And here's our guys, Amoresco, and they're the contractors, and they will be installing the work. They don't enter your home or business. Installation requires about 30 minutes. Water service is affected for about 15 minutes, and these guys are pretty good. Installers will need access to meters behind the fences, but I don't think we have many meters behind the situation. Meters are available through Woodlands Water Smart meter usage, and meters provide an hourly, daily, and monthly water use information. Text messages, emails, and phone call alerts are available. The project web, this is the AMI project. This is on our website, woodlandswater.org. And you can go on here, and actually what I would suggest, even if you don't have a meter right now, is to go on here, and I'm going to explain how to do that in just a second. Go on here and put your name and address and all that stuff in, all your information in, and it will automatically connect you to the WaterSmart system. And you will have that on your laptop or your telephone or your PC or whatever, and you can actually check it wherever you are. You could be in North Carolina or New York, and you can still check it anytime. So that's a good program. Now let's talk a little bit about the WaterSmart program and how you can log in and how you can register on the program and what it means to you, what some of the things are. First of all, if you go to our website, you can look up at the top and it says services. You want to go there. Am I still on? Yeah.
Yes, Bob, you are.
Okay. You want to go to services, and then when you click on services, you'll see a list. Then the first part of the list is WaterSmart portal. You want to click on there. Disregard all this other stuff. Just click on WaterSmart portal. Then you're going to be brought to this portal, and it says Smart Customer Water Portal down here. You see the red arrow. Click on that, and then that accesses your system, your actual meter. And I'm going to go through this and show you what's going on in the meter. So here's a bill explainer. That's the first thing on the list, and it based on your water use history. You may have had some leaks, and that will be reported on your system. For instance, contributing an additional 2,176 gallons. What it does is it rates your past usage by month and by day, and it will show you if you're above or below your average. And so if you see you've got 2,176 gallons over your average for that month in previous years, you'll be notified at that point. and how much it's going to add to your bill. And there is a leak diagnosis and investigation tool that you can access and you can activate on your WaterSmart system to let you know information about your leaks. Now, water conservation varies with seasons, and we estimate that you use approximately, let's say in this case, 13,615 gallons per month for this past month, and of water, and for irrigation last period. And the way we do that is we generally check a percentage of your usage for irrigation, and we separate that from the rest of your home, so we know what you're using inside and you know what you're using outside. And that's an important thing, because one of the largest waster of water, of drinking water, is what we put on our lawns. And some of that rolls out into the street, and thousands and probably millions of gallons are wasted by going into the storm drain and eventually ending up in the Gulf of Mexico. So we want people to be aware of this and try to correct it if they can. And if you look at our website, there's also a whole bunch of information about how to water your lawn and how to save water on your plants and on your lawn, your turf grass. So you might want to go there. And I think Terry's got some information as well on her site, right, Terry? Well, okay.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
we do.
Yes. The number of days that you're watering may and that you use water can vary. I mean, from bill to bill. For instance, we use less water during the winter months, December, January, and February. And the important thing about that to note is that on your water bill, what we do is for your sewage cost, because you have a separate item for sewage, we take your water usage from December, January, and February. We average that, and that is the charge you will receive for the rest of the year. So if you're watering your lawn or using a lot of water during December, February, and December, January, and February, then what's going to happen is your monthly bill for the next year is going to be the average of December, January, and February. So don't water your lawn in the wintertime, and you get to save significant amounts on your sewage bill for the rest of the year. So you may want to think about that when you're watering your lawn in cold weather, because it really doesn't need it. And changes to your property, if there's changes, we will take a look at that, and you will be able to look at that too. Something that may impact your water consumption. For instance, let's say you installed a new irrigation system, or you changed it over to drip irrigation, which is one of the things we recommend. Installed any of the following water using features like a pool, a spa, water softeners, reverse osmosis systems in your home, and all of these things will affect your water usage. So you may want to take a look at those things, and also let us know when they have them, and you can do this on your system. Now, the next part of it is use history. You can get your use history right here. You have normal use, possible leak, timed irrigation, and data is unavailable. But if you look here in these 3 months, April, this is April of April 26th, April 27th, April 28th, April 29th, and April 30th, there is an anomaly here that you can see. This tiny red mark is an anomaly in your usage. So something's happening there. And what we'll do is we'll check this out. You can check it out yourself, call us, email us, and we will have our own people checking this out at the same time. So we will know if you have a potential leak in your home or not, and so will you. So that's an important thing to realize, because we get a lot of reports every year on leaks. And so if we have a leak, it could be from your meter. There may be a leak on the meter. It could be a leak on your sprinkler system. It could be a leak in let's say a running toilet upstairs that you don't know about, or it could be a drip in your water system. Who knows what it could be? But that's something that notifies you, let's check this system out. So we'd like you to do that. And while we're talking about that, we have a program called Wise Guys. And Wise Guys, actually, we started it in the Woodlands, and now it's all over the state. I talked to somebody from San Antonio Water, and they said, oh, yeah, we have that program here. I think it started somewhere near you. And I said, yeah, it does. It did. It started here in the Woodlands. We actually started this Woodlands Water Agency. We were Woodlands Joint Powers Agency at that time. And, nobody knew what that meant. But we're now on Woodlands Water. The Wise Guys program is a special program. It's free. We have licensed and vetted irrigators who will come out to your home and check your entire irrigation system. It's free. It's a free service. And they will give you a written report on what your problems are. You may have some misdirected sprinklers. You may have some broken sprinkler heads. Your controller may be set at the wrong settings. There's all kinds of things. And talking about your controller just for a second, if you have a power outage in your area, then your controller may have reset itself to the original settings or to a default setting. So you may have to look at checking your controller to see that it's set on the right times. And that's the defined irrigation schedule, which you can also find on our website. So that's a little bit about it. You can, in order to get to the Wise Guys, you can go to our website, look on the homepage, find Wise Guys, click on there, and it'll bring you to a site that you can put your name and address, phone number, and email on. And once you put that in, they will contact you to make sure that you are there when they come, and they will make an appointment with you. So it's a great service. They'll give you a full report on your whole system and help you reset your controller. So that's important too. Now, use analysis. This is a really interesting thing. It shows your seasonal usage for your entire water system. So we look at these lines here. We look at, for instance, gallons per day, and this is the temperature, which is important because when we look at our lawns, we always are tempted to overwater in the summertime. And so what we're doing is we're looking at the temperature coming up in April, but we're also looking at precipitation. As you can see, we had a lot of precipitation in April, and this user is actually using more than the precipitation than we had precipitation. So this user should have dropped his usage back. Remember, lawns only need 1 inch a week for watering. If you put more than 1 inch a week, you're actually opening up your lawn to fungal diseases, insect infestation, and a whole lot of other problems that you don't want to have. So this is a great indicator of what you really should be doing for your lawn, particularly. Let's go to this one now. This is four little things. I'm going to break these down in a larger screen. But right here you have how much you use during the billing period. Your biggest estimated use is irrigation, and this shows you how much you're using in irrigation based on your water usage. This last one, the second one, a third one is increasing use. It shows what months you have increased your usage, what months you have decreased your usage. And so the previous year and the current year are noted here. And as you can notice, This guy has lowered his usage from actually from October through February, and compared to the other usage. And that's really, really good, because we know that that's going to lower his sewage cost for the remainder of this year. Now, your annual use, this shows your annual use, but since we don't have the system live yet, there's no forecast yet. However, once the system goes live, which will be in a few months, we will have all that information available to you. Now, I'm going to go, and so you can look at this a little better. Here's our billing period cumulative use estimate and estimate use. And you've used, let's say, 3.88 kilogallons this billing period. At this rate, we estimate you'll use about 8 kilogallons total, which puts you in tier 2 rates. These estimates are informational only. And if you want to know what tier 2 rates are, in the Woodlands, the more water you use, the more you pay per 1,000 gallons. And that's just logical. I mean, if you go to a restaurant and you order more food, you're going to pay more money for it. And so this is a way for people to know that I'm in tier 2 and I'm paying this much money. If I go to tier 3, then I'm paying even more money. So you can go to our website and look at the tiers and the cost of each tier. So this guy is in his in the second tier, which is not bad. It's not bad at all. And I would like to I'd like to see everybody in the tier 1 or tier 2. We find that tier 1s mostly the patio homes, and they don't have a lot of water use, which is really good. And this guy is in tier 2, and that's a moderately sized home in the Woodlands with a moderately sized lawn. Here's a biggest estimate use is irrigation, and this generally breaks down what you're using and you can see this is actually the average throughout the Woodlands, although we have significantly reduced our usage in the Woodlands, and that's just a credit to all the people here who understand water conservation and good stewardship of our water. We went from 220 gallons per person per day in single family residence in 2011 to 91 gallons per person per day in 2021, or excuse me, 2020. We don't have all the figures in for 21 yet, but that is remarkable. And it is one of the best indications that people in the Woodlands are perceiving the necessity for good stewardship and good conservation methods in their yards and in their lives too. And we see this happening with the township, with the green program, with the green up program, and all the programs that Terry's putting on, and the amount of information and participation that the public is putting into all aspects of conservation. I know Terry's got a whole bunch of stuff going on with watersheds and quality of water and all kinds of interesting facts. And if you want to get involved in that, you can call Terry or email her, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to take your name and number and contact you when any of these programs are coming up. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. This is your use for the past 24 months, and that will give you, and for your current year, and this will give you an indication of what's happening. This guy in the previous year, as you can see, had more water usage during May and June, and in the previous year. And this year, he's used less water, same thing. May and June, but in July got hot, so he used more water than he'd used the previous year. But in August, he started using less, September less, October less, excuse me, about the same. More in November, December, and January. So he must have not got the message about the lower water usage during the winter months. And March and April, wow, he went way above his program. So we have to look at that and notify him. We'll say, hey, you might look at your water usage, or you can look at it yourself and say, hey, why did I water so much in April this year when I didn't water that much last year? Or I didn't, I've got a toilet running, or, a hose leak or something like that. And this tells you your annual use. And of course, I said there's no good forecast for it yet because the system is really not in service. Now, this is compare your billed water usage. And his usage was 149% higher than typical usage for this time of year. So as we pointed out in the previous slide, that's pretty standard. And that's his cumulative average for March and April. Let's go to the next slide. Here's profiles and preferences. Now, your meter class is residential. Your meter number is this number right here. Your service address, and I've taken out the name here, but you put your address in, and the customer name, and the move-in date, the time you actually moved into your home, the date you actually moved into your home, how many occupants you have in your home. This is what we receive, and so we kind of know what's going on, whether you're renter or owner, and do you live there. Now, we also have number of toilets. That's one of the things we're tracking, the number of high efficiency toilets, old faucets, appliances. For instance, if you have a high efficiency shower head, dishwashers, a newer model from 1994 or after, which are big savings, washing machine, a high efficiency washing machine. So all of these things are in there, and these are calculated to show us and show yourself how much water you're using in which category you're using it inside. You can also activate your leak alerts system in the program, and you can activate it or not activate it. That's your choice. But when it happens, you will get information from us, but you can also check it on your own screen and see the comparison. High use notifications, you can also activate this if you'd like, and that will put you on our email list as soon as we see a high usage. And you may be someplace else and not even realize it. A high usage, and correct it. Maybe call your neighbor and say, hey, can you go check my line, or call us and we'll go check it. Your bill forecast notifications, with $50 more than your typical seasonal bill arrives, then we're going to let you know about that. Hey, your bill is a lot higher than your average usage. Unplanned use notification. Currently, it's unsubscribed, but you can also subscribe to this once the system is fully operable. Utility connect messages. So these are general messages, like, for instance, we're planning construction, we're getting ready to lay some pipes in your area, stuff like that. And urgent notices of service alerts, for instance, hey, we're having a freeze, drain your backflow preventer, open the cabinets in your kitchen and your bathroom so your pipes don't freeze in there, just stuff like that. Or, it's going to rain tomorrow, or it rained last week. So I don't know how many of you get my email that I send out every Monday on the weather forecast generally, and how much it has rained, and how much water we need to put on our lawns. And the interesting thing about it is that the data that I use comes from two sources. One comes from the Texas ET network. The ET is evapotranspiration, and that takes into account a whole lot of systems the sun, how hot it is, the soil moisture, how much moisture is in the soil already, how much it's rained, the wind direction and amount of wind that's coming in that may dry out your plants. All of these things are taken into consideration. And then I check the Harris County flood warning system, which contains a ton of information on water in the past. So in the last week, we received, let's say, an inch of water. Well, that means certain things. That means if you received an inch of water or more than an inch of water this last week, then you probably don't have to water this week, or you can reduce your water usage. And so what I do is I kind of get that information. What I have a formula that I use to convert everything to St. Augustine and zoysia grass. And the formula I use is I take the ET situation, or whatever the ET reports, and that's a very close system that they have near us in the Woodlands. And what it does, it takes in all kinds of information and broadcasts it out, and that's available to you too. But then I use a formula that converts to using St. Augustine and zoysia grass and Bermuda if you have it. Hopefully you don't, but if you have it, that's fine. Now, the email use notification is 1.4% higher than normal. We will send you a notice on that. Payment received, we'll tell you we received your payment on such and such a date for your water usage. Email use notification will say, hey, your usage is 1 time higher than normal. We've got to look at this, or you may want to look at this. And here's another one, and here's another one. So there's a lot of email use notifications, just in case you're not paying attention to it, or you have other things going on in your life. I know I do. And it's a great service that is going to be available to you. And finally, we have a system in here that's at the end of our program that you can access. I get a lot of calls about how do we water my trees? Well, we have a program here that will show you how to water trees in our area. Choose low water use plants. Now, this is something interesting, because what we did in the Woodlands is many years ago, we set up a program, a rebate program for residents. And the way it works is each household has $150 to spend on rebates. And this works in this way. Let's say you back then it was only for rain sensors. So if you bought a rain sensor, you would get a 50% rebate on the cost of that rain sensor, up to $150. Well, rain sensors don't cost that much. In 2013, we added rain barrels, and there are actually thousands of rain barrels that have been sold, that have been sold and installed in the Woodlands. So if you go and buy a rain barrel, and that's still active, you can buy a rain barrel and get a 50% rebate on the cost of a rain barrel. And I'll give you a little shout out for the Woodlands Green. There is an organization in the Woodlands called the Woodlands Green, and you can access that on Google and access their website. Woodlands Green is a kind of an environmental informational organization. They do great things. They were first responsible for the development of recycled waste here in the Woodlands, but they also monitor the Adopt a Path program, and they're really heavily involved in that. They have monthly talks from people throughout the area. For instance, they just had a talk on the state of the bay. So if you like to go down to Galveston Bay and look at that now. And the interesting thing about Galveston Bay is all the water that we use, or all the water that comes down the San Jacinto River, all the water that comes down the Trinity River, all that water goes into Galveston Bay or East Bay, all of those areas. And what we do is, what the Woodlands Green does is monitor. They don't monitor it, but they bring in speakers from Galveston Bay or from the Houston Advanced Research Center, which is located right here in the Woodlands. It's on the corner of Gosling and Research Forest. And they have done wonderful things. This organization was started by Mr. Mitchell far back when, and Houston Advanced Research Center has all kinds of scientists working over there. They have environmental scientists, they have oil and gas specialists, they have water specialists, they have rainwater they have all kinds of people there that are working on tremendous amounts of activities all over Southeast Texas. So it's really important to know about this and to know that they produce a lot of programs. And the programs they produce are used by Woodlands Green and promulgated by Woodlands Green. And Woodlands Green has speakers that come in all the time and talk about different subjects, like Galveston Bay, or like the state of the river, or environmental problems and stuff like that. But they're also very active in other areas of the community. So their website is woodlandsgreen.org, I think, but just check Woodlands Green, Google Woodlands Green. And you can go on there and actually order a rain barrel, which they sell. The rain barrels that they have on there are retail for $120. You can get one for $85. Not only can you do that, but then you send us your receipt and you can get a $45 rebate, $42.50 rebate on your rain barrel. Wow, that's a good deal. So your rain barrel only costs $42. And that's a real significant savings. But you also get significant savings on things like a smart meter. A smart meter is very similar. It's going to be very similar to our Water Smart program in your AMIs. What a smart meter does is it actually contacts the ET system that I use on my monthly or weekly email. It takes that data and sends it to your irrigation system. And then you can actually program that to water whenever you want to, or water whenever you should be watering, like the defined irrigation schedule in the Woodlands, 2 days a week or 2 nights a week, and follow that and have your system actually control that. But the really charm about that system is if it rains, it will automatically control your system to not water or to lower the watering in relationship to how much it rains. It will also do a whole lot of other things, soil moisture, the wind, the sun, how much heat is coming down from the sun, how much evaporation is coming off the plants in the soil. So it will take all that information and regulate your irrigation system, and you don't have to do anything with it. And the interesting thing about it is I installed one at the water district, and I was in North Carolina last summer, and one of the people at the water agency called me up and said, hey, or actually emailed me and said, hey, I think we need more water on our thing. So on our lawns and stuff. So I checked the ET system. I took out my telephone and I ordered my system to work, to activate. And immediately it activated the system to water that specific night, which was happened to be on Tuesday night, which was our time to water. And it watered the lawn and the native plant division that I put in there as well. And it watered that at that time, and I didn't have to do anything. I just activated it from my cell phone in North Carolina. So this system is really good. You can buy one for about $150, And guess what? You get $75 rebate, so it only costs you $75. And it's a great system. I would suggest everyone uses this. We also give a rebate for drip irrigation. Drip irrigation, we found out it is 90% more efficient than actual sprinklers. It works really well on bedded plants in your ornamental plants. If you have beds, flower beds and stuff like that, you can install this stuff and it will save you an incredible amount of money on your water usage in your lawn. But it also has all kinds of other advantages. It gets the water right down to the roots instead of spraying it all over the leaves and evaporating or running off. The biggest disease vector in Southeast Texas is fungal infections. And fungal infections are caused by what? By humidity and water. So if you're sprinkling your system and the water is getting up on the leaves and dripping down on the stems, what's happening is you're making an ideal situation for the development of fungal infections on your plants. So the best thing to do is put in drip irrigation system. They're easy, they're cheap. You can get your landscape people to do it. It's a great system. And it's also covered under our rebate program. The program that's gathered the most interest is our native plant rebate program. Now, native plants have been in existence for, millennia. They were here before humans set foot on this continent. And so they're very adapted to weather patterns and all kinds of other stuff. The soil, the humidity, insects, they're oblivious to the insects that infest here. So one of the great things about the native plants is they're available at many nurseries. And we also give a 50% rebate up to $150 on your water bill for use of native plants or purchase of native plants. So I would suggest you get some native plants. There's a list on our website for native plants. It gives a description of the plants, and it also has a photograph of the plants. And we're actually adding some right now. We're working with Terry and Amber to get a list of plants that they're using for pollinators, because we think that's very important too, because you have native plants, but you also need pollinators to pollinate those to attract bees and honeybees and native bees and bumblebees to those plants. And that's really important because you're getting cross-pollination there. And so it's important to have those pollinators. So we're adding that list. In fact, Amber just sent me a list of those things, and we're going to be adding them into our list. 50% on native plants, and there's some gorgeous native plants. I just gave a talk yesterday to the Walton ladies garden group up at the Walden Yacht Club, and it was about flowers and had a lot of native flowers in it. So you might want to take a look at that. We have a list of it. Go visit some nurseries. There are 2 or 3 great nurseries in the area that have native plants, and the people are very knowledgeable about it. So I would suggest you do that. Now, upgrade your irrigation controller. That's some of the things I talked about just now. Choose low water use plants. As I said, these plants have been here since before humans, and they are well adapted to the atmosphere, to the soil, to the rain, to whatever. So you get to use a lot less water on these plants, because most of them are high heat resistant and also low water requirements. You can upgrade your irrigation controller, which I just talked about. Minimize your fertilizer use, and this gives you an idea. It kind of converts what we might believe about fertilizer. I know I used to think that if a pound of fertilizer worked well, then 5 pounds of fertilizer should work better, right? But that's not the case. And I've learned through the years that it's important to know about fertilizer and how it affects our plants and what kind of fertilizers we should use for which plants, and how much nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium we should use in that mixture. And also adding other elements that are necessary for plant growth, like iron and molybdenum and zinc and all of those things, because plants obviously are need the same things we need. And so to grow and to prosper and to create seeds and flowers. So it's important to raise those plants just right and use what they need. Take a 5-minute shower. This kind of tells about a 5-minute shower. I have learned, and in fact, my whole family has learned how to take 5-minute showers. Actually, I can probably do it in 2 minutes, but I was in the Navy, so I was aboard a ship for a while, and you learn to take 2-minute showers. And it's not hard to do. So you save a whole lot of water that way. Now let's talk about mulches, for instance. You should always mulch under your shrubs, your bushes, your trees. There's some real good principles about that. And you should do that. I want to make one statement about that, and that is that a lot of people buy dyed mulch. Now, in 2013, the federal government, EPA, issued a ban on lumber that was treated with copper chromated arsenate, which is arsenic, basically. And let me tell you why, and what happened prior to that, and what's still happening today. A lot of companies in the United States are taking pallets and decks and wood from old houses and chopping it up, grinding it up, and then they dye it, and then they sell it to residents. What happens there is that those decks and pallets, and there's millions of pallets out there, millions of pallets that were built before 2013. Those pallets and those decks and that wood from those homes have copper chromated arsenate in them. So what you're doing when you buy some, I'm not saying all of it, but some dyed mulch contains copper chromated arsenate. So when you put that mulch on your lawn, or on your plants, or your bedded plants and stuff like that, or your trees, your bushes, what you're doing is you're actually putting arsenic in the soil. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is if you have children or grandchildren or pets, and those pets or children happen to go and walk into that bed for some reason, or play in it, and then come back in the house, they have actually infected your house with arsenic. So, I mean, it's a health problem. People are starting to, it's like lead. You know, they used to put lead in paint. That's no longer the situation. So be very careful when you buy mulch. I've seen mulch and strained through it and found nails in it. And so that's an indication that that's probably not a good thing to have in your yard. So please be very careful if you use dyed mulch. It's not a good thing if it has copper chromated arsenate. And the question I was asked yesterday is, hey, how do you know that it's not? Are the companies required to tell you? And that is no, they're not required to tell you. So you need to be very, very careful about ordering those kinds of things. Stop irrigating when it rains. How many of you driven through a neighborhood and seen water running down the street? What a problem. I mean, that water is all wasted. And as I said before, it's in the Gulf of Mexico. So if you have a smart controller, it will turn the system off if it rains, and it will have no problems. The next issue is declined, and that is about water usage on your lawn. That information is available on our regular website. And this is the time to water at dawn or dusk, which is between the hours of the defined irrigation schedule. So I would water around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning if I'm going to water, following the defined irrigation schedule, which is active throughout the woodlands. So if you don't know about that, send me an email and I'll let you know about that information. And now I'm finished. Terry's happy. I haven't overrun my time. And if there are any comments or questions, I'll be happy to answer them if I can.
That was great, Bob. And yes, we do have some questions. Let's kind of take them as groups. First, about the rebate program. The rebate program question was whether there's an end date. As long as they're a Woodlands Water customer, do you expect the rebate program to continue?
Yes, it will continue forever. And we may even add some other stuff to it in the future.
Okay, that
yes.
would be great. Now, so someone is asking about 2 of the new tops on their water meter box, saying, are there 2 meters in that box, both theirs and their neighbors, and is that normal?
Yes, that's normal. Generally, what happens is they'll put a box between 2 homes, and the box, if you're looking from the street toward the houses, the block on the meter on the right inside that box is for the house on the right, and the meter on the left is for the house on the left. And that's generally what we do. That actually saves money on your part and our part, because what we do is we pass all the savings on to you guys, to the residents. So we're trying to keep our prices low, and that's one of the reasons we do that. But also it's because it's easier to access. If you have a problem with one meter or the other meter, it's easier to access that whole system by going into those, by having them in tandem like that. So you're really not paying for your neighbor's water. You're actually just saving money on the boxes. Go ahead.
And where does the information go? Are there, like, is it a radio receiver kind of a thing? Are there,
is it a regular what?
Is it like their radio signals and
yes,
they go to a tower somewhere?
Yes, we're actually on the big water towers that you see all over the woodlands. Those will be our transmitters will be on those towers, and we will also have to build some towers in the woodlands. So we're getting ready to do that. In fact, some of them are up already. And so once the whole system is finished, those will be activated, and they're putting those up now, as I said.
All right.
So once that's done, go ahead, Terry.
Residents aren't having to go out and find a smart meter and pay someone to install it. Woodlands Water is taking care of every customer in the township. Is that correct?
Well, every customer who is served by the 10 MUDs. Right. We do not serve Creekside or May Valley. Those are served by another.
Although it's my understanding, Bob, and maybe you know for whether can confirm that those areas have recently also had smart meters installed.
Yes, in fact, I think you contacted Rebecca Marcucci with their water system, MUD 386, and they have just installed the smart meters as well.
However, they're using a different app than Woodlands Water. Is that correct? So
that's absolutely correct. Yes.
So there might be some specifics that you've given us today about the app, that if someone lives in May Valley or in Creekside, they may need to contact MUD 386 or Municipal District Services to directly to get information on how that app will work.
Exactly. And I don't know, I'll probably have to call Rebecca to find out what that information is, or one of the mud directors down there. And I'm
All right,
sure that they will be promulgating that information.
Okay, so let's move back and talk now more specifically about the app that Woodlands Water is using.
Yes.
Will you tell us the name of the app again and exactly where to go on the Woodlands Water website to obtain that app, or wherever else it is?
I definitely will. Let me go back and I'll do it on a specific. I'll give you some specific data. If you go to the front page of our website, the home page, and look up at the top, there are a number of names up there for the different programs that we have, or the different situations. If you click on AMI, that will tell you a little bit about the meter, not as in-depth as I did today, but it will tell you a little bit. But if you click on services, that's on the top of our home page. You'll click on services, and that will take you to another page, or excuse me, another list that says Water Smart Portal. You want to click on there, and that will take you to, well, if I can get this done. That will take you to Water Smart Portal. Click on that, and that will take you to this page. Now, this page has a number of things. For instance, online payments, automated phone, third-party water billing, as you can see. But on the top of that page, it has Water Smart Customer Portal. And you can actually sign up for that now. In fact, I would suggest you do. There's still information you can get from there. And I would suggest you sign up right now. Just go on that Water Smart Customer Portal, and you'll be able to sign up with a name and I think just your account number. Your name and your account number. We'll be able to set it up.
All right. So
go ahead.
When they're getting their water through this new meter, they'll still be billed per 1,000 gallons. The units are still 1,000-gallon units.
Yes.
And if you mentioned tier levels, will in their app, will they be able to see what their tier level is, or how do they find out what tier level they are?
Okay. Yes, they can find out on their app. And then they can also go to our website and check what prices they're paying for their tier, and they can also see it on their app. The tiers are, I think, 1 to 3,000 gallons is a certain price. It's very inexpensive, and a lot of the people in patio homes, we have a lot of elderly people in the Woodlands who don't use a lot of water. They may be living alone, or maybe with an assistant or something like that, but they don't use a lot of water. And there are people who cannot pay a lot of money for their water, who actually are close to destitute, and we make concessions for that. However, the 1 to 3,000 is a certain rate, and then if you use more than 3,000, from 3,000 to, I think, 10,000 gallons, it's a little higher rate. You pay for the first 3,000 gallons, you pay the basic rate, and then for the next, what's that, 7,000, you pay a higher rate. Then for the next 20,000, you pay another higher rate, and 30,000 and up, you pay another higher rate. And yes, you can find all that information on our website or on here. The important thing to notice is that most people in the Woodlands fall in the tier 2 or tier 3. Very, very few people fall in the tier 4. And if you are in the tier 4, then you're using a lot of water. So
okay,
does that answer your question?
Yes. And if I move and I close my Woodlands Water account, what happens to that information? It's not attached to my address, is it? I mean, no one else will be able to see it if someone else moves
E-
into the house I'm in.
Exactly. Yes, no one will be able to see it if you when you leave, that information is automatically stopped and made inactive. Um,
But
and then what will happen is the new resident will sign up for water and they will be activated on that system. No one will have access to that if you move. No one
okay,
will have access.
well, what if there's someone else in the house with a different email address that I would like, for both of us to be able to look at the information? Can more than one email address be entered?
Yes, but the important thing, what you'll be able to do is when you access your system, all you will need is the name of the person who actually registered and the account number. So you can just go in and do that. And if there's another person in the household, you can just find out the account number, ask your spouse or whatever, your significant other, to give you the account number, and you can go in and access it.
And you said I can look at my information from my phone. Is that a separate app? Do I have to go to the app store to download something?
No, you do not, as far as I know, but I will check on that. I'm not sure. I I I don't believe you need to do that. I think all you have to do is go to WaterSmart and put in your account number, and that's it. You will be
So,
connected
so
immediately.
just to clarify here, um, the smart meter is just to track usage. It's not something we can set to tell it to turn on anything at a certain time or turn
No,
off
it is
anything.
not. It is
It
not.
doesn't have a rain sensor. So that's the difference between the meter that tells us about water use and the controller on our sprinkler systems.
Exactly. Exactly. That's precisely it. Uh, but if you combine those two, then you have a significant advantage in saving water and actually saving a lot of money on your water, because water prices are never going to go down. They're always going to continue to go up. Uh, so
Okay. All right.
anyway,
So tell us again, we're able to access either on our computer or on our phone and see in real time how much water we're using at any particular time. So
yes.
tell us again how that might help us know we have a leak somewhere.
Okay. So what will happen is when you look at your system, you will see, you can check the previous day, for instance, check the previous day and the secondary day, the next day or today, and you will see a difference in usage. So let's say you watered last night and the next watering is Friday night. Am I got this right? Yeah, Tuesday night. You watered last night and you watered Tuesday night. Well, let's say you watered last night and you check your system today, and your water usage is higher than it was last week, the day after you watered. So you know something's wrong, and there will be a red mark on your system to tell you that, hey, you used more water today than you used last week at the same time. So there's something wrong. Either your system's messed up, you have a leak, or you're using a lot more water. And why are you doing that? And that's something that the customer is going to have to answer. We can't actually tell where the leak is, but it's either a leak or you're using a lot of water.
And if I'm watching in real time water use, and I know that I'm going to be specifically looking for leaks, it would be a good idea to make sure everything in the house that uses water is turned off at that time, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
just we've had a couple of more questions. I'm just going to repeat one more time. Um, the meters don't turn off the water to your irrigation system. Only your sprinkler system controller does that. That's
Yes,
where
that's
you would
right.
use a rain sensor. Is all that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we did have a question about a water bill. Um, so Bob, when I get my water bill, I see that I have a rate per 1,000 gallons on my water bill. And then I have a sewer rate, and you explained to us that that sewer rate is based on our use during December, January, February.
Yes.
That assumes that the amount of water we use during those months is all inside the house because we wouldn't be watering outside.
Hopefully.
So
Hopefully. But I
all the
know there are
water
people
that
who
comes
do water
into our
outside.
house during those months is assumed it's all going down the drain, and that's what bases our sewer charge on.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so are there some other charges that might be reflected besides just the water and the
Yes.
sewer charge?
Yes. We are currently taking water. About 30% of the water that we're using right now is taken from Lake Conroe. Lake Conroe was dug in the late 60s and early 70s to provide water for our growing population. And so what we have seen, that's a kind of an in-depth question, but we've seen things like subsidence, serious subsidence, because we were drawing down our aquifers faster than they could recharge. Is that too complicated?
No,
Oh, okay. So we were drawing down our aquifers quicker than they could recharge. We were using 84,000 acre feet of water every year, and the aquifers were only recharging at 64,000 acre feet. And I get this question all the time. Well, it rained. It's been raining all month, and why don't we have water? Why can't it be replenished? Well, in order for the aquifers, Evangeline and Jasper aquifers, which we're now taking water out of, it has to rain north of Huntsville in order for that water to get here, because that's where the outcroppings are. Now, water moves at 1 inch per molecule. 1 molecule of water moves at 1 inch per day. So if you figure out the time from Huntsville to here, that's probably 5,000, 10,000 years, maybe longer. So mammoths roam the earth for the water we're drinking now. So one of the things that we do is the rate for water, so what we've seen is that not only the aquifer is being drawn down, but the land above it is collapsing. And so we've seen in Houston, for instance, in Harris County, the land has sunk 15 feet or more. In Montgomery County, particularly in the Woodlands, we've dropped 3 feet along Spring Creek and 2 feet along in most of the Woodlands in the last 30 years. That is a significant thing. And so in order to keep subsidence down and to save our aquifers to replenish, we're taking water from Conroe, and that is also a charge that's added on to our bill, because we had to pay for the construction of that facility and the use of the water and keeping up with the putting new carbon filters in and all that stuff. It's state of the art, by the way, so we have great water. Does that answer?
Yes, very helpful. Thank you so much. Now, someone is asking how they know whether or not they've had the new meter installed. Tell them what they look for on their meter box to tell them that.
If you go to your meter box, and you'll probably see the people that have installed it, but if you haven't, go to your meter box. The meter has a little cover on it. Open that cover on, and what you have to do, it's solar operated. So if you shine a light or the sunlight, but I would use a flashlight, put a flashlight down there on that screen and it will light up. That way you have a smart meter. Excuse me, a smart meter. So if you just shine a light down there and it all of a sudden comes up, the read on the meter, how much water you're actually using, that will tell you you have a smart meter.
Okay, so someone wants to know, in the event we ever have another big freeze like we did in February,
Yes.
is it helpful at all to cover the meter? Like their suggestion was maybe put a couple of bags of mulch across the top of the meter to keep
Uh,
it warmer. Is anything like that help?
you can do that. We had very, very few meter breaks in the Woodlands, if any, but we did have a lot of pipes break. And what we had to do was go and turn off the water at the meter so the leaks inside the property owner's yard could be fixed, or their home could be fixed. So we did have a lot of that. We didn't have, because the meters are down in the ground, unless we have a hard freeze and the soil freezes like it does up north, uh, the meters are not going to be affected at all.
And someone is asking, they said it was a little hard to turn off the water to their house. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yes. I did some of that during the freeze as well. And I just recently got one of those big things that you turn the water off on. It's a big wrench thing, and you can do that. I just saw them at a big box store. I was buying some stuff yesterday, and they have them at one of the big box stores, a smaller one, but it works. It's a T-shaped tool that's about 3 feet long, and on the bottom it's got a small little round thing that has two um, two spaces in there. And what you do is you just put that on top of the turn off valve, and you just turn it like that. However, I've been to homes where I didn't have it, and so we just used a wrench. We put a wrench on there and just turned it off. So a big enough wrench, it could be a crescent or a pipe wrench or anything that works. You can turn it off like that. I've done it.
If someone does need to turn off their water and can't accomplish that, can they call Woodlands Water and get help for that?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
What about if it's at night?
That's fine. We have on-call people 24 hours a day, and they will. In fact, we had crews during the freeze that worked 24-hour shifts during the freeze. So yes, we have people there. They will be out immediately to turn your water off.
All right, so just a couple of last quick questions.
Sure.
Someone's asking if using what's called native mulch is good.
Yes, it is good.
Asking about names of local nurseries. I'm not certain whether our next presenter will cover that. If you would like to mention a couple of local places that sell native plants.
I do. I guess I can say that. Nature's Way Resources sells native plants. They specifically concentrate on native plants, and Carla over there knows a ton of things. In fact, Carla helped me compile the list for the low water use plants that we have on our list. They know a lot about native plants, and they also have native mulch over there too. So natural mulch is great. Also, the Irrigate down in Tomball has a whole lot of stuff. They don't have mulch, but they have lots of native plants there. And downtown Buchanan's is also in a place that has tons of native plants. It's a little way forward to drive, but they have lots of expertise too. So those three places.
I understand the Allspa's Ace Hardware back in Sterling Ridge.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Added some native sections to their nursery, and they also sell things like compost and
I'm sorry, yes,
products and such.
I didn't mention them, but yes, they have good compost there. They're really developing their native plant area, and they have a lot of organic fertilizers there that you can pick, and they're very relatively inexpensive compared to the prices in other areas. So I would definitely go to Allspa's Ace Hardware.
Okay, last thing, Bob. Would
Yes.
you tell us quickly the best way to let you know when we're driving down the street and we see the sprinklers running during the day in front of a shopping center?
Yes.
What can we do Who do we tell?
Me. You can contact me by phone or by best way to contact me is by email. Just email me.
Okay, did you put your email address on one of your slides?
I did not, but I can.
Okay, I'll just type it into the chat window for everyone. It's
Surely.
B Dailey at woodlandswater.org.
Yes, .org. That's exactly it.
So when you see that happening, in fact, if you see sprinklers running anywhere, even in residential lawns during the day, you know our defined irrigation schedule doesn't allow that. If you take a photo and send Bob an email to the address I just put in the chat window, with that photo, the time of day, and the general address, if it's a shopping center, corner of Research and Gosling, Panther Creek Village Shopping Center, whatever, then Bob has the opportunity to check and see what's going on there.
Precisely that. And I have a crew on the road that every day that do that. And I can, if you email me, I can get somebody out there immediately and check that out.
And Bob, if people want to call Woodlands Water, that number is 281-367-1271. And they can, if it's nighttime and they have an emergency or have a problem, they can reach an emergency call.
Exactly. Yes. And we will have one of our crew go out there immediately and take care of that. And they are very responsive. I'm just really surprised how responsive those guys are. They're excellent. And we've got a lot of good comments about those guys. They're just really dedicated, and they do they do a lot of service in the area, in the Woodlands. So don't be afraid to call them.
All right. Well, Bob, thank you so much for being with us today. You've been terrific. You've answered a lot of our questions. I expect you will get emails or phone calls.
I'll be happy to answer.
We appreciate it so much. So, folks, why don't we take about a 10-minute break? Bob, if you will stop sharing your screen.
I will.
And let's take about a 10-minute break. And when we come back, we'll learn a bit about pollinators. So go fill your coffee cup and take a break for a minute. Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.